Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
I'm Ian Richards. Welcome to InFocus, a weekly program where we zoom in on what's happening within and throughout the government, your government. According to statistics in the 2023 budget for the 2024 fiscal year, St. Kitts and Nevis's macroeconomic performance was anticipated to grow by 3.9% by the end of 2023. The government is relying on construction and tourism, among others, to drive economic expansion as it seeks to maintain the momentum in 2024. Joining us today to discuss the government's march towards sustainability is Prime Minister, the Honourable Dr. Terrance. Our discussion will touch on the construction of the Indigo Hotel, the new smart homes being constructed by the National Housing Corporation, and this week's cabinet meeting between the Federal Cabinet and the Cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration. Stay with us as we delve into your government, your business.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts. If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Yes, it's a pleasure, of course, Ian, for me to be here. First of all, let me wish you and the InFocus team and the SKNIS a happy new year. And let me extend it to the management and staff of ZIZ as well. 2024, we look forward to have an excellent year.
Right, and as you speak about looking forward to having an excellent year, it's something, of course, that you're working on in terms of the government and making sure that people in St. Kitts and Nevis, the citizens and residents, could have an excellent year. But before we get into 2024 PM, let me just jump back to 2023, and I want to talk a bit about the budget consultation process. Of course, the budget would have been delivered in December, and I would want to congratulate you on the budget as well, too. But in terms of the preparation for the budget, there were 3 specific engagements, essentially taking the budget on the road. Talk to us, Prime Minister, about the importance of taking the budget on the road and engaging the persons in the different spaces. Of course, there were youth that was held at the Marriott and stakeholders from the economy, from different stakeholders, and there were community engagements in Lodge and also in Old Road.
Yes, thank you very much. Our government, our administration, the Labour-led administration, seeks to establish a government on the principles of good governance. You cannot have a government built on the principles of good governance if the people are not involved. It has to be people-centered. Now, the budget is one of the most important activities of any administration, any government. And to have such an important activity or event that is not directly consulting with the people, I think that what you seek to do will not benefit as much as it should if the people are not involved. And I'm talking about benefit from the input of the people. And that is why we introduced the concept of taking the budget on the road. We consulted with the youths at Marriott and other stakeholders, and the youths were very informed. They asked very questions that were pointed and questions that provoked thought. and cause us to think. And in essence, they also add to the whole budget process. And then we took it even further into the communities. I think this might be the first time where the budget process is brought to the community, where the government employees, for example, the FS, who was always in attendance, to listen to the people and to see what questions might come. But not only questions, but suggestions as well. And we also had that in Old Road.
And they answered the concerns as well, Prime Minister.
And they answered the concerns as well. And so we intend to intensify this type of process so people can see how the budget is formulated, why certain decisions are made, and they have the opportunity to influence the budget, because a number of things we would have heard would have influenced the budget. And we can go deeper into the budget and see how the budget was really a people-centered budget, historic to some extent, based on what was presented for the people, things that had never been done before, neither here in St. Kitts nor anywhere in the Caribbean or throughout the Western world. And that it is because when you go out to the people and you listen to the people, it really imbues you to really create a budget that is people-focused, people-centered, because you get the sentiments from the people, not only their words, but also to see how the people feel and what the people are expecting and what would be in order to make sure that you take care of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And that, to me, had a significant impact on how the budget process was developed and what eventually was delivered to the people in the 2024 budget.
Can you share a bit more about that, Prime Minister, in terms of how the engagements informed the drafting and calculations of what actually was presented in the budget?
Right. For example, we went to Marriott to speak to the youths. The youths, of course, would bring their ideas and, of course, also their scrutiny of the process and sometimes their criticism as well. And they, doing that, would provoke us to really, look at the budget in a particular way. And then we will take their suggestions, for example, and see how we can incorporate it in the budget to make sense. For example, the youths would discuss issues of education, opportunities, and so forth. And if you look in the budget, we had a great deal of opportunities for our youths. When you take it to the communities and you listen to the workers, and the workers will say to you, look, these are things that we are going through, and how can government respond? Hearing those type of things, of course, would cause that when you go to the table that they are included or even considered, if not directly included, in terms of bringing out the final draft of the budget. So that type of process, I would say, influenced the budget tremendously.
Expected to continue, that process?
Expected to continue and expected to intensify. And we want our people to become more engaged and more involved in the budget process.
So as we speak about the budget, Prime Minister, talk to us a bit about the capital projects, some of them I should say, of course. We have mentioned at the top that the government is relying on tourism and construction to help to really stimulate the economy. So tell us a bit about what the government has planned in terms of capital projects for the fiscal year 2024.
Right, so I'll get straight into that. Let me clear the air on something, because I think it is important. When we took over the government in 2022, I announced to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that we had a deficit. I want to make that clear. I want that to be considered a headline, that the Prime Minister, Dr. Joe, announced in 2022 that after looking at what we inherited, that we inherited a deficit in 2022.
And the breakdown of a deficit would be?
Yes. So the breakdown, the simple thing is you spend out more than you're taking. Okay, sometimes that happens, but when people seem to not remember what I said when I reported to the people, I think that it is clear that I reiterate that fact so that people can once again know that in 2022, I reported to the people as the Minister of Finance that we inherited a deficit budget. Notwithstanding, we of course began the process for 2023, and we are expecting economic growth in 2023 on the pathway to recovery. Now, in 2024, we are expecting to get closer to where we were before the pandemic, and capital projects are a fundamental part of that, and tourism as well. As you can see, we have aggressively gone after expanding our tourism. And I have some numbers that I would like to share, Ian. I have it right here on my phone that I would like to share, because I think it is critical that I share these numbers to show that our strategy actually worked, and really to commend the Honorable Marsha Henderson and her team for doing that significant work. Let me go through some numbers, if you permit me. In year 2022, amount of passengers by air, 113,154. That is how much we had in 2022. Remember that when we took over the government, that there was there were still restrictions. And on the 7th of August, the elections was the 5th, which was a Friday. My first official meeting after swearing in on the Saturday was 7th of August with the task force. And I asked them then for the statistics or the evidence with respect to COVID, and if there was scientific data to suggest that we should keep restrictions. I got them in that meeting that Sunday night from the CMO, and it showed that we could actually remove the restrictions and open up the country. That is what saved us in 2022. Otherwise, the deficit would have been worse. Remember that I also reported that to the people. So in 2022, 113,154 passengers by air. In 2023, 160,712, an increase of 47,558. This is because of how we invested to make sure. Amount of flights, a number of flights in 2022, 4,728. In 2023, 5,918, an increase of 1,190. These are significant increases because of our policies and approach to open the country and to aggressively put policies in place to get more people into St. Kitts, such as new flights into Caribbean Airlines, bringing in more international flights and so forth, and we can see the direct benefits. 47,000 is more than the population of St. Kitts. And that's just the increase by, not the total number. Because the total number is 160,712, and our population between St. Kitts and Nevis can fit into that a few times.
Yes.
In cruise ship, 2022, 490,267. 2023, 760,354, an increase of 270,097, by over 250,000 increase. But if you look at the number, and then we had more cruise ships of 14. But the number of cruise ships is not as important as the number of persons who come, because you can have a lot of ships and they can come empty, but you can have few ships with a lot of people, which would have a greater impact on the economy. But nonetheless, we had both last year. Amount of passengers by sea, 2022, 8,478, 2023, 21,500, an increase of 13,022. The amount of vessels, or the number of vessels rather, 1,106 in 2022, 1,806 in 2023, an increase of 700. What we did on August 7th to open up the country was very important in terms of the recovery of the tourism product. Had we opened up the country earlier, these numbers would have been better, and we would not have suffered the deficit possibly that we suffered in 2022. It was a bad decision to shut down, to keep the restrictions unnecessarily, even when the scientific data. And as a result, the country lost millions of dollars, millions of dollars, and people who could have been working were not working because of that bad decision. So the numbers speaks for themselves. That we went out, we got new flights, JetBlue, which is having a tremendous impact. Right now, hotel occupancy is up from even last year on the general. More people coming into St. Kitts as a result of that. We had expanded American Airlines, United, Air Canada, the British Airways, and in the Caribbean, intra-Caribbean travel, which is our second largest source of tourists. We had inter-Caribbean, Caribbean Airlines. Winnie are now expanding their flights into St. Kitts Nevis. We have a number of regional airlines expanding into St. Kitts and Nevis. And as a result of that, we are seeing an increase from there. Even at the terminal, apart from the cruise ships, we are seeing more. We saw an increase, maybe the highest number of yachts we have ever seen, private yachts, could have been this season in our history. And I will make those numbers available when, as soon as possible. So if you plan to write something on it, you can have access to it. And as a result, we saw income from that area that we had not had before in this season. And we expect to expand on it even more. So as you can see, our strategy for tourism is working. I just met with the management of Marriott, and I'm told that they have presently right now, they have about roughly 50 positions available that they can't fill. And I spoke to the Minister of Labor so that we can get aggressively to our people. Because our people are searching jobs, our jobs are there. They're asking me if we can't fill them here, would it be possible to bring in people? I'm saying that we're going to do everything to get our people here to fill them. That is why we are expanding tourism, so that hotels can have tourists, and that will engender, of course, more jobs for our people. So basically, I would say that the strategy is working extremely, extremely well. Ian, you asked me about capital projects, because now we are getting to construction. This year, we're going to see a lot of construction taking place. Our housing revolution will take place. I guess we'll speak about that, but I'll speak in general about capital project. So the housing revolution, we intend to build a lot of houses. We have already a lot of people approved for houses. The second matter that we're going to look at in capital projects are road projects. We also have the hospital to be built this year, $60 million US, 50 to 60 million US dollars investment. We have the renegotiated and we launched solar plant, which is about 80 million US dollars. We just launched Hotel Indigo, which is about $100 million. And of course, the roads will be millions of dollars invested. We have a number of projects, but these are large projects, and just calculating that amount, you are easily talking upwards of more than $500 million EC dollars already. And there are a number of projects in the pipeline that we will be announcing going forward. And so therefore, we expect that the construction activity will be high this year. It is already picking up, and therefore, we want our people who are in the construction field to really be ready to take up these jobs. Because I don't want anybody to call me and say, Dr. Joe, we have jobs, but it seems like we might have to get people from overseas. Let us get our people here employed first, and then we can discuss who we can bring in if there is a need. But our people must be given preference in terms. And I'm saying to our people to take advantage of the opportunities, apply for these jobs, get into these jobs. And that is why we want to create the atmosphere and the environment for that. So that alone, talking about those projects I just outlined, if you add them up, you will see how much money is going to be directly injected into the economy. And we have another few projects, large projects we are going to launch this year. Right. So this is the year where projects will be launched. Now, over the last year, we were in the planning phase because these large projects take time. Anybody who knows about construction, building, and so forth, know that these takes time to put plans together, to get approvals. You know, something we have to study, environmental impact study, this, that, the number or the critical things that have to go into making these large projects a reality. You know, they take time, but we are at the point now where we are rolling out.
Right. So, Prime Minister, of course, you mentioned the NHC homes, and let's focus a bit on those, the ones that are being constructed under in partnership with the East Coast Housing Development Company. Now, you recently visited the model home being constructed in Connery. What was your impression of the process where it is at this stage?
Well, my first impression is how strong the house is. I want to stress, I mean, the house has panels. These panels are steel mesh panels. They are steel come up between the panels. Then they are bridged with steel. And then all that steel, then it's filled with concrete. It's concrete, it's a concrete house that we had never had before. And when you go and you see the strength of the house, look at the house in Connery's, it also looks very nice. It's not even painted yet, and it's taking shape. It's cheaper, stronger. The spacing there is amazing, and you can easily build on top. It's hurricane resistant as well, and will be more resistant to earthquakes. So it is a good investment, and therefore I was pleased to see where they reach. If you look at the normal time for construction of a house around here, and you look at that, you can't say it's taking longer. The reason why we have not launched all of the houses yet, we're going to get the model home. Our people can go there, go inside there, hit the wall, boot up on the wall to see, because I hear criticism about the strength, but it's the strongest house I've seen built. It's concrete and steel and panel mesh, panels that are steel meshed. And therefore, we want to give people that opportunity to go and see. They're saying no bats coming in your house, the chances of leakage are going to be extremely low. Hurricane resistant, easy to protect from hurricanes in terms of getting prepared and so forth. And when you get your children and they grow up, in the future, you can easily go up top and put on another 2-bedroom if you wish. And therefore, it gives the opportunity for expansion. So I'm very pleased, Ian. I'm very, very pleased. And I encourage SKNIS to go and visit and ask the questions and bring the homes closer to any news agency or any journalist. They should go and visit the home and then report back to the people. So I see a lot of speculation out there, but I am very pleased with the quality of the homes, of the model homes that I've seen. And
of course, it's a new process in terms of the construction method, and so you would have engaged with the contractors who are building the model homes as well. So what's your feedback in your discussion with them? What did they have to say about the process?
So two things would have taken place, and I want to congratulate NHC. When the first model came out, they brought the people to see them. The people said they wanted larger rooms. That is why there was a delay. Because remember, anybody who is in construction and so forth knows, if you change 1 foot anywhere on a building, everything changes. And so we had to change the rooms from 10 by 10 to 12 by 12, I think they are now. They are large rooms. And therefore, just that changing means the floor plan is going to change, the roof plan is going to change. You have a lot of changes taking place. So we had to go back to the drawing board, change the plans. Otherwise, these houses would have been done since last year. So let us remember that. And so the other thing that NHC did was to bring the contractors in, because there was a lot of speculation about, of course it's a new thing and people should have questions. It is understood, and NHC should answer people's questions and take the public seriously, which I want to applaud NHC for. Applaud the Minister, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, and the team at NHC, the board, for taking people's considerations seriously. Even the contractors were brought in to a workshop where the technology was explained by one of the engineers from East Coast. And the contractors, for the most part, was satisfied with what was explained. But even if you're not a contractor and you want to know, just go and visit the home when the chance comes, and then you would have first-hand opportunity to really determine the quality of the home. So I encourage people to do it, and the time is approaching when that would be. But I'm pleased with what I've seen thus far.
But it's also important to point out, Prime Minister, the fact that while this is just one option in the housing solution, there are others that would be catering to lower income families and also middle income families.
And higher income families. For example, let me tell you what was done. So the government, the National Bank, for example, and other financial institutions. This environment is, I think, the environment where we have the lowest interest rate or mortgage interest rate. If you compare to previous years, this is a year where the interest rate is low. And therefore, more people are qualifying, and they can qualify for larger homes. So this is just one. Because what we're looking at is what housing solutions we can bring. It doesn't mean that the government has to build your home or NHC has to build your home. What if we create the environment where we bring interest rates low, make capital available, and based on your financial standing, you can approach a financial institution, get a mortgage, and build your home. That's part of the solutions that we have brought. But if you look at the home, let's look at National Bank as one example, and look at the home plan. They have one for graduates. They have one for new home owners. They have one where you can get, borrow some money to repair your home and so forth. And in all of that, guess what we have done this year? We have reduced VAT on building materials, so that brings the cost of the house down even more. So you have a mortgage that is fairly low interest available, and the cost of construction has come down. That is the best recipe in order to prompt people. This is a year to build your home. Low interest rate, VAT off of many of the building materials, are lower than many of the building materials, lower cost for both materials and the loan. Those two things put people in a better position to get a mortgage and the home that they so desire. So I want to encourage you all people to take advantage of this environment at this particular time.
Prime Minister, let's move now to a situation that has also been near and dear to your heart, and that would be the water challenges that we're experiencing. Of course, we would have known that it is as a result of climate change. That is one of the reasons why there's water scarcity around the island. Less rain is falling, there's not enough of it to go around. And so, of course, the government would have been trying to address the situation, particularly in Kayan, which is an area that you represent, would have engaged the bead company in terms of drilling well, and they did find water there. Give us an update, Prime Minister, on where we're at with that at this stage.
Right. Thank you very much, Ian, for that question. I think this is the second time I do it, but that is a very important question. As you know, the water situation had been attacking Kayan for decades. There had been, plausible attempts made. Speaking to the past representative, the Honorable Cedric Liebert, he told me about attempts he made to resolve the matter. However, the issue continued. The previous Labour administration, of course, brought in BEAD, and BEAD had started its work, had found water. But when the government changed, or the administration changed in 2015, BEAD was put down. And we know what happened there. In the end, maybe in 2022, close to the 2022 election, they tried something. But of course, you allow basically 7 years to pass doing nothing. And the Kayan people continue to suffer. Under a previous government that they supported, which was shocking. However, nonetheless, we are now in 2024. As soon as we got in, we started to engage BEAD again. BEAD had some issues. The machinery had become somewhat dilapidated because the machinery was just sitting there without any work to do. They got all their machinery back. They started to drill again. And I think that God intervened in this one. The area in St. Kitts that had the most water issues, the largest single well ever discovered in St. Kitts and Nevis, according to what I'm told by the technicians and experts, is that well that was found in Kayan. And when they test the water is potable. They test it once, World Health Organization standard, they test it. And right now, as an update, they're testing it again. So the water, the reason why we have not connected it, we want to test it multiple times. Because the water is so pure. It's amazing. That's why it says only God could have intervened here. Give us pure water in such abundance in the area that suffered the most, or suffers the most. It has, of course, the challenge is still there. And so when that last test comes, which we expect to come either maybe next week, we are going to Kayan and have a ceremony and connect the water. Initially, we have a smaller pump, so we'll be able to pump maybe 250,000 gallons per day. That's a significant amount of water. The larger pump has been ordered, where we can get, hundreds of thousands more. And but we don't want to delay while they're preparing the larger pump. Let's get this significant amount of water that's going to solve the problem to a great extent in Kayan while we wait for the larger pump to come. So the update is the last test for the water is being taken place. It's going to be finished, I think it should finish this week, but let's say next week. And once that is done, we're going to connect the water while we await the larger pump to come. As soon as it comes, we're going to exchange the smaller pump now, because they did not expect to find so much water. And so pure. And so easily connected. And that is why I keep saying that God had to be involved directly with this. Too many things lined up perfectly. And I think the Kayan people should be thankful. and it's going to be resolved.
The government also, Prime Minister, is going to continue drilling around the island to see where other pockets of water can be discovered. But also there is a plan in terms of desalination, and there is a plan that the government has outlined where there will be 2 plants constructed. One that's going to be supported by the UAE, but the government also is investing in a much smaller plant. Tell us a bit about any updates there.
Right, so let me update you on desal. Right now we are buying water from Marriott, desalinated water. They expanded their system there to help the Frigate Bay area and the Southeast Peninsula. So that is happening. So we have introduced a solution. Also, as you know, in my constituency that had been hit the hardest, we have a water storage tank delivery system, which is ongoing. And to reiterate, that went through the procurement process, because this is a government about good governance. And so right now we are going to build a larger desal plant than the UAE. The UAE water desal plant is about 30,000 with solar energy.
And that's gallons per day.
And that's gallons, 30,000 gallons per day.
Right.
One for St. Kitts, one for Nevis. If you lose solar energy, if we connect it to the grid, we can get up to 60,000 gallons per day, but of course it's more expensive. What we are going to construct is a desal plant to produce 2 million gallons per day, which is much larger than what the UAE is doing, but it's going to cost us money. However, we have determined that we have to be able to provide water for our people. So 2 million gallons per day, desal plant, we want to complete this year. And that is on its way as well. And I didn't talk about that with capital projects. Mm-hmm. That's a major investment as well. There's so many projects we're doing this year that sometimes you may not list all of them. And so that would be completed this year as well. So we expect the drilling, as you said, because we have mapped the areas in St. Kitts where we're going to continue drilling. We're going to do desal, and we're going to do water harvesting. We are very serious about solving the water problem in St. Kitts and Nevis. Also, we are very serious about solving the electricity issue. As you know, the Saudi government with us will invest in our generation plant. But apart from that, the geothermal, but apart from that, the solar plant that is coming, and that, of course, will bring the electricity cost down as well. All this is building towards a sustainable island state, where we sustain our standard of living and give us the opportunity to improve in the future. Simply that. So everything is geared towards that. Water scarcity, solve it. Electricity issues, solve it. And technology issues, solve it. Because we believe energy, water, and food is the nexus that can get us to the next stage. But if you have energy, water, food is created. We are on our way with the 2025, 25 by 25 plan. Mm-hmm. We are building the greenhouses. We are doing the chicken farms. And agriculture would be able to demonstrate this. And we are getting our farmers, of course, on board more and more every day. Discussions are continuing. Of course, there would always be some discrepancies and things to thrash out. But our ethos, when it comes to this, is to continuously engage the farmers and the stakeholders so that we can get a better agricultural product. But we are working very fast and quickly towards our 25 by 25. So this is a plan of a sustainable island state, which means sustain our standard of living and improve upon it for our future generation as well.
And of course, water is critical for farmers. Right. Yes, of course, and manufacturing. And so we'll be happy to know that we actually will be having officials from Agricultural Department on next week.
Excellent.
So they'll be able to share some
information. The 25 by 25 plan.
Right, yes.
Good.
So Prime Minister, we want to talk now about another capital project would be the construction of Hotel Indigo. And of course, that's a private project. But what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
And then we'll have more discussions on that.
Okay.
We'll be right back with more In Focus. Dr. Terrance. Prime Minister, you participate in the groundbreaking for Hotel Indigo a few weeks ago. It's the first major foreign direct investment project that we've seen in about 10 years, according to some of the statistics that were presented for us. Talk to us a bit about Hotel Indigo and what it means for development here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course, sustainable development.
Right, Ian. Before I get, I think you made a good point. It's been a long time since we have had an investment like that. A long time, a decade, as you said. I'm trying to, really pick my brain and see when we had another hotel, when was the last hotel built, and so forth. But as you know, it's been a decade. And so once this administration got back in, the Labour administration, we started to engage stakeholders with respect to these. As you know, the Minister of Investment, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas, was instrumental in this as well. I want to point out our High Commissioner in London, His Excellency Kevin Isaac, pursued this. We engaged because there were people there who always wanted to invest in St. Kitts, but the environment was not there for them. So as soon as we had a change in 2022, they just start flooding us and say, look, I have my proposal ready to go. We're going to launch another development soon. I don't talk about things until they reach the point of no return, so that my words can be trusted. So if I tell you there's a hospital, it's because it is advanced. If I told you, we did not even mention Hotel Indigo, because I said it would not be, we did not want to mention it until it reached the point of no return. And we have a number of them, so you'll see me mention another one in a few weeks, and another one, as we go along. And as they came forward, Hotel Indigo, and I want to thank Al Baptine and his group, Osama and his group, and they're teaming up, of course, with IHG to bring this brand to St. Kitts and Nevis, which is a boutique, high-end type of hotel. This will be done in lots of jobs during construction and jobs during operation. And so this will have a very positive impact. Again, I'm saying to our people, we want you to take advantage of the opportunities. Right now in St. Kitts, we have created the environment where we are very attractive to other Caribbean countries. People just want to come here to work because of the environment that we have created. But we are saying, while we welcome other people, we also want our people to take advantage of the opportunities that are being provided. So Hotel Indigo, we really looking forward for that project to move forward, to create jobs, help the economy, and good permanent jobs as well. And it would be in keeping with our development of our sustainable island state. It will take into account the environment and so forth, and build in such a way, environmentally friendly. I have another project I want to mention, not yet, in terms of renewable energy, which is a new technology which will be introduced for the first time in the Caribbean, and maybe the Western Hemisphere, and that will be launched in a short time. It is the point of no return, because the equipment is here, it is being set up, and I intend to speak about it. It's going to be real technologically advanced, the next step in solar energy storage, the next step, not the lithium storage method, the next step, which I'll speak about in about a month's time.
Mm-hmm. So the government is building on moving forward because, of course, as
this is with a private partnership.
Right, okay. So the clanche, the agreement, of course, is there. We're just saying that the government is going even further,
yes,
and taking the next step.
Yes, we want to now introduce, because we're innovative government, and we're going to introduce things that are going to be brand new for St. Kitts and Nevis and brand new for the Caribbean, and some of them are going to be brand new for the Western Hemisphere. We have an excellent team in the government. Everybody is enthusiastic and working hard. The success of the government, when judged, is because of a hard-working team that is determined to be together, to work together for the betterment of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Prime Minister, you just mentioned, of course, His Excellency Kevin Isaac, and also the Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas, who is the Minister responsible for investments. And you just also mentioned that there's another private partnership that is coming. Talk to us a bit about the government's vision for foreign direct investment and how it can be used to develop here in St. Kitts and Nevis, develop the country overall?
Well, any country that seeks to develop in this modern world has to have foreign direct investments. I think you go to the United States, even those countries that are considered most developed, they still seek to get investments in. Foreign direct investments, we are going to chart a course because that is going to be part of our strategy to ensure that our economy gets stronger and better. It is a fundamental part, Ian, to answer your question. And so we are going to be pursuing these foreign direct investment. They result in more jobs, more money in circulations, more opportunities for our people. It creates, you can use that to create new sectors or to advance sectors, such as Indigo is to advance the tourism sector. The renewable energy project I'm speaking about is to advance our energy sector. Geothermal, foreign direct investment, to advance that. So therefore, foreign direct investment is going to be a fundamental part in terms of building out our economy going forward.
And of course, there are opportunities for the private sector here to get involved as well, to become investors as well.
Right.
Too.
So of course, our local companies, you will see, they would benefit from all of this and give them opportunities to investment. Let me say what we have done. During COVID, there was a temporary decrease in taxes for companies. We have extended those so that companies can save more money and invest in their people and invest in their company. And we are seeing that with a number of companies because we want the private sector here in St. Kitts and Nevis to do extremely well. Because when they do well, we all do well. So it's a win-win type of situation. So even though foreign direct investment is part of it, our local companies, we are investing in them as well in terms of looking at the tax arrangement and whatever else we can do to help them to deal with any issues of cost operation that we can help to, make it better and easier for them.
Any incentives for them to invest in either energy efficiency equipment or solar panels, etc.?
Yeah, those are already basically duty free already. Mm-hmm. So they have an opportunity to invest in those.
And that will be furthering the Sustainable Islands vision. Right.
Correct.
Okay. So, Prime Minister, let's talk now a bit about, as we speak about investments, the investment, or should I say the efforts of the government to get the persons more financially literate and to be more aware of the value of investment. And of course, we know that you recently launched during the budget the government's financial education and savings program, which is geared towards exposing citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis to investment. We also see that the CBI dividend, that is a part of a benefit from an investment.
Yes. That
the government has been made by persons here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So talk to us, Prime Minister, about the importance of having persons rely more so, or should I say, be less reliant on earning a salary and being able to earn revenue from investments which would contribute overall to their development and their purchasing power.
Right, that is a very good point. For a very long time, Ian, we have been thinking, we have been taught, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. Go to school, get a good education, get a good job. There's something missing from that. And the part that is missing is the financial literacy part. A job alone cannot really get you to where you want to get. We know that. That is why entrepreneurs go into business, and those who understand business and the financial climate are those who benefit most. What we are seeking to do, Ian, with the program that you speak about, is that we are going to start a robust financial education system here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Our people, I am going to predict, will be the most educated when it comes to financial education in the Western Hemisphere on average. That is how serious we are taking it. That is why we decided that we are going to go to the schools. Children between 5 and 18 will get a deposit, an account of $1,000. $500 we want to buy shares, so that those shares over their lifetime can be, of course, adding and adding and adding to have a healthy account. And we want them to keep those even into their adulthood and find other opportunities for investments, because we cannot just rely on income alone from a job. passive income, as people call it, sometimes can be even more than what you get from your job. And eventually these people might work out, well, maybe an 8 to 4 job is not for me. I have now gone beyond that, where I'm doing investments and looking at other financial opportunities that are there. That is what is going to break any cycle of poverty in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so let's say a woman, a single mother, for example, is a cleaner. Her child is also going to get an account and the financial education so that that child can advance, and that mother who is the cleaner can even learn, so that we don't just become spenders, but we understand how to invest and how to build wealth. That is what we have to teach our people here. We cannot just teach our people, go to school, get a good education, good job. That's not going to cut it in today's world. Our people have to be innovative, hard working, but smart working as well. Smart working as well. But they have to have the tools, which include a good education, a good financial education. If you go down and you say, what is a share? People don't know what is a share. Only some people have shares here and there, and everybody in St. Kitts, I believe, should have a share somewhere. What is dividend? I am talking about CBI dividend to bring the concept to people. A dividend does not have to be the same every year. It can go up, it can come down. You may not get it depending on how the company does. So based on how the CBI does, it will determine the dividend.
That's part of the education.
That's part of the education. So when I say dividend, they understand it has to do with what a dividend is and how it can vary from year to year, from period to period. That's part of the education. Where can I buy these shares? How can I establish my financial architecture? How can I get into the stock market? How can I set up a budget that works for me so that I don't get into financial difficulties? Our people are not getting that type of education, and it's available. And we are going to start changing the climate, the atmosphere, and the culture, Ian. And we hope that in a few years, as people become more educated, we will see the shifting of the culture of our people. It's critical. Otherwise, if we don't do that, Ian, it's going to be challenging for our people to escape cycles of poverty and to really grow wealth to allow them to live the life that they dream of. The government alone cannot provide that. Any government who promise that they can give all of that is a government, or any political party is a political party that will be lying to the people. What I would say to the people is that this administration is going to give you the tools and ask you to apply yourself in order for you to achieve what you envisage to achieve. So we want to make the environment right, make available the education, give you the tools necessary, but you have to apply yourself. There's no other way to do it. The Bible says it right, by your sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. That is going to always be like that. But we're not only going to work hard, we're going to work smart, because we're going to get the education necessary. We are going to make it available. The
strategy also, Prime Minister, it extends to not just in terms of education, as you mentioned, between persons from 5 to 18, but it also is included in terms of financial management, money management, yes, in terms of persons who are beneficiaries of the poverty alleviation program.
Yes.
We will see persons who are on Elevate that they are going through the training in terms of how to be able to manage money, how to be able to set up a business. Yes. And I will tell you, we had persons from SBDC here last year on InFocus, and they indicated that they would have tried to form a relationship with what was then the Alternative Lifestyle Pathways program, which persons would call the PEACE program. There, of course, entrepreneurship was a component of that program, but they never even had any opportunity to engage with persons who were part of that program, which fundamentally, as they expressed, was very challenging for them, because how do you expect to empower persons, to uplift persons, and not give them the necessary skills, the necessary equipment, the necessary education, where they can, if they start a business, make it successful?
Yes, it's like, Ian, you're giving me the keys for a vehicle and I can't drive.
6 shift. 6
shift. If I try to drive, there's an accident, I'm going to get in, make it worse than not being able to drive at all. In this, not having a vehicle at all, rather. So what we want to do with the Elevate program, we have put modules together where we brought in professionals. We went deep to create this new Elevate program. They would have access to financial education. Among other things, for lifestyle changes and so forth, financial education will be part of it. So that just like anybody else in the population who would have access, they too can become a mainstream part of our society and not be seen as outside, but given the opportunity to fully integrate. But they have to want the opportunity as well, and the opportunity to grow wealth. And whatever resource you get, how do I use it best to benefit me, my family, and my community? Leave the life of crime behind. Makes no sense. See how you can build a financial future, a respectable financial future. That is what we want to do, and that is why we brought that to Elevate. We're going to bring it to all areas in our society, and that is why the next generation of children will not be, that generation will not be like us. They will be educated and ready to deal with the financial realities of the globe, not just St. Kitts and Nevis or the region, but they will be international, I would call universal citizens who can respond and function in almost any climate. And we are giving them the tools and the education. That is why we give all of them a laptop in high school. We give the children iPad. You have to start young. If you don't have access to technology, you're not even starting a discussion. That is why we brought back that program. It was said that the program was stopped. During the COVID, when people couldn't go to school, they realized how important that program was. And so we have reintroduced the program, and we have expanded it, and we have bettered it, because all the laptops now, you have all your books and exercises. So if your mother, let's say you have a single mother, and she has 3 children, and you know, she probably didn't have the opportunity to go to school and get some big education because she had some difficulties. She can sit with a child and say, you go on your computer and you do the work there. And it has tutorials and so forth and so forth, and she can, if you're right, you get a correct, if you're wrong, you get an X. So she could say, well, that's right and that's wrong. So she can engage with her children. So we made sure that we learn from the previous program. So now our children have access to that. And on that will be the financial education package as well that we're going to introduce, so they can refer to it, go to it, see their accounts, see how their money is growing, see opportunities to invest. Tell the parents, man, look, invest in this, don't spend your money on that. Let's save this because we can get return on that. Don't put it in the bank, it's only 3%. The bank over here is 4%. You know, put it in a fixed deposit. You know, those kind of conversations you want to be had inside the family environment. That's the only way we can do it. And that is why we say we have to give our people the tools and our children a start. But just to clear something, each time the child, every year children become 5, so they'll be introduced to the program. So we'll do a blanket program this year. So next year, those, as soon as you come to primary school, you're going to get your vaccination, your school orientation, and your account. That will be part and parcel of what you get as you enter primary school. And that is going to be with you. And we hope you're going to have that throughout your life as you build your... By the time we started, we expect by the time you reach to high school, you will be very sound in understanding the financial world. And by then you'll be making bigger decisions. Better decisions than we made because you would have had education that we did not have. All right.
Okay. Prime Minister, as you speak about decisions, let's talk a bit now about the decisions that was made by the federal cabinet to go and engage with persons across the seas in terms of Nevis, or sisters and brothers over there. We had the meeting, as we established earlier, between the federal cabinet and the cabinet in the Nevis Island administration. That was on Monday. How did that go?
Well, I would say that it went extremely well. This was done previously that I know of. It could have probably been done in the 80s with NRP and PAM. It was done definitely under Dr. Douglas and Joseph Parry. And I hear people out there saying that it was only done under the last administration. So I wanted to clear the air on that. This has happened in the past. However, this year we see that the Nevis Island administration, they're not part of the members are not part of that party and not part of the federal government. Right. I think that is what makes such a big difference as well. So, as you know, NRP was with PAM and NRP was with Labour. CCM is not with Labour. But we had to find the space for the NIA and the federal government to sit down.
And NIA, of course, is led by the CCM party.
Exactly.
Right.
So that is what is so unique about this one as well. The discussions went extremely well. We talk about the sustainable island state and constitutional reform, which we are seeking to put in place now. 40 years on, we have to look at our constitution and see where we can enhance it and better it. There are some things in there that really, those things need to be looked at and be, reconsidered. And that is what we are going to do. And so our people can expect more information going forward. But I would say the discussions were fruitful. My position is, I have a unique position on St. Kitts and Nevis. That is my personal position. I believe we are one country, one space, if you ask me. That is my personal position. The position is we are federation. I really think that a child in Keon, St. Peter's should have the same opportunity as a child in Jessops, and a child in Jessops should have the same opportunity as a child in Keon, St. Peter's. That is my personal belief. And that is why I'm pursuing this so much. And I don't want it to be based on whether or not the parties get along or not. I want us to be able to be put in place that whichever parties are there, that they are forced to work together for the betterment of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we're going to seek to see what we can put in place that nobody can touch, that will force whoever gets into high office to really work together so that we can really bring St. Kitts and Nevis closer. The Premier now has spoken to that. We have spoken to that. We have found common ground to work, such as geothermal and so forth and other things. But I also think we can enhance that and put things in place, in stone, in terms of you have to work together. So that will be part of what will be pursued as well.
So that sounds like we expect to see much more of that. And as you mentioned, formalizing the structure. So that is something that has to be considered.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, Minister, we're almost out of time for this program.
Yes.
I'll give you an opportunity to make any final comments.
Right. I want to thank you very much, Ian. We have touched on some very critical matters. But our goal is to create a sustainable island state, meaning we sustain our livelihood, our life that we have now, and improve upon it even, that we don't go backwards. Of course, we have to take into account our present situation, the issue of climate, the international financial situation, and so forth. And so we are building towards that. We have started. St. Kitts and Nevis, we have made revolutionary steps in a very short time, such as the plan for financial education. In our budget, we have also made sure that we are making provision for pension for GAE workers, those past and those present, to bring justice to the whole situation. We have given a minimum wage increase. It's been a decade since our people had a minimum wage increase, and we have done that. We have also made provisions to increase the minimum payment for Social Security. We have gone up to $350, and then for non-contributory. And those who don't contribute, we have gone up almost another $100, it's close to $500 at the minimum end. So already those persons who are retired are benefiting. I spoke to someone this morning and they said, Dr. Joe, I'm getting my extra almost $100, and it's making a difference. So that is why we wanted to also take care of our retired population as well. And we have increased civil servants' pay. I want to reiterate this, and probably SKNIS can put something out. The 8%, 3% of it is to contribute towards the pension fund. 5% is your increase. Why did we do it like that? We know that for the fund to be sustainable, you would have to have contributions eventually from the civil servants. But I did not want, in this climate, for civil servants to take home less. That is not just. So I say, give the civil servants their 5% increase and an extra 3% that will be taken out for the pension fund. So we create a sustainable, strong pension fund while the civil servants also enjoy an increase. And so I'm asking the civil servants that we'll be taking out 3%, but remember we gave you 8%. We did not just want to take out 3% and you take home less. It's a decision that had to be taken because the ball had been kicked down the road too many times. And I've said that we can make things better because we're thinking about sustainability. And that is one of the ways of making government's pension sustainable, by making it contributory, but you have to do it in a way to bring ease to the civil servants and not pain. And that is why we did the 8%, 5% to take home and 3% your contribution. So you'll be taking home more money while we establish a sustainable fund. So I hope that something is put out on that as well. And I will finally say...
I would say we actually put something up with HR already.
Exactly. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. And I will actually finally say that with all those things that we did in the budget, it was a revolutionary budget that was respected, that I will say drew the attention rather of the region, of different countries, how we were able to do this in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want to say again, it is because we also have a team that is working so united and so together to make sure that we bring the best possible solutions and opportunities for our people. So I'll say lastly, to our people, I encourage us to work hard, but also let us work smart. Let us create a sustainable island state, meaning a state where we maintain what we have and we can grow on it. It has a lot of details to it, but think of it in really establishing a better standard and condition of living. I thank you for your support thus far, and we'll continue to work on your behalf as we create a sustainable island state for people in Nevis and in St. Kitts. Thank you very much.
Prime Minister, and thank you for being with us here on InFocus. We certainly look forward to the next engagement that we have, and you'll be able to update some more of the information that you held back strategically, but we want to hear more about that.
I'll come again, Ian.
Right.
And as we break ground on the other ones, I'll release them accordingly.
Absolutely. As I always tell persons, this is the only official radio and television program of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Correct. Thank you.
So thank you, viewers and listeners, for joining us for this edition of InFocus. We're so glad that you will join us, and we pray that you will be with us next week at the same place, at the same time, for another edition. I'm Ian Richards.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.